introduce us.
I'm Shauna. This is Mike.
Hey, thanks.
We're real estate brokers, Acquisto Real Estate, Frisco, Texas.
Hello. And we're going to discuss how to generate business during the pandemic.
Okay.
And I don't know why, pandemic, right?
Pandemic.
Or it could just be non-traditional ways that you can generate business doing the things that you do every day.
So we've been in a pandemic for a while now, and hopefully we've learned,
305 days in quarantine so far.
Learned to kind of manage and adapt and get through it. But, something I think we failed to recognize is, and we were talking about this yesterday on a call, but it's like, I only know 5 people, and I've reached out to these 5 people so many times, they're going to think I'm annoying.
Probably.
Guys, 5 people? If you only know 5 people, really, then you probably wouldn't be successful in real estate.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we have to start thinking beyond the traditional way of marketing and advertising, right?
Okay, that's fair.
And when you're thinking of your sphere of influence, I think we take our sphere of influence for granted, and maybe we don't understand what is our sphere of influence, okay? So think about when you go to the dentist, right?
Okay.
And you're talking to the lady at the front desk, or you can't really talk too much to the dentist when they're in your mouth. I get it, but that's just an example. Every conversation that you have could some way, shape, or form either let people know what you do, or you can engage them and say, oh, I've got to leave here. I've got an appointment. I've got a big listing coming up here. Hey, by the way, if you know anybody that's interested, let me know. And just kind of throw things in, but don't take for granted when you go to a doctor appointment or a dentist, or, you're shopping. We're going to start being able to go out and shop a little bit more now. Last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I met a lady in Nordstrom's. Actually, this has happened 3 times.
3 times?
I met a lady at Nordstrom's that works the makeup counter. She's a client. I met a lady shoe shopping, and then we ran into her at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't purchased, but her and I chat all the time. So she's in our system now.
So you have a shoe friend.
I have a shoe friend.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, 2. It happened 2 times.
Okay.
So just don't, you want to disconnect and not always talk about work, but it's not really talking about work. You're letting people know what you do, and you need to think about that wherever you are. Nobody likes to always hear about yourself. If you're always talking about yourself and, oh, I'm this and that, I think the majority of people don't really like that. They don't want to hear, it sounds pompous. You don't want them to run when they see you, right? You don't want to be that annoying person. But what you can do is subtly just have these conversations and say, hey, I've got this real estate event. I need shoes or whatever it is. Just,
it sounds like you're trying to say to be
I do real
intentional.
estate. So just be true to who you are and what you do. And if people don't know what you do, how are they ever going to know to call you when they have a real estate need? They're not. So you don't have to breathe down their neck and be the pushy salesperson. Just think beyond the traditional way and think about what, don't take your sphere for granted. Your sphere of influence isn't just mom, dad, brother, sister, your closest friends. Think beyond that.
So so that's a great point. If you're looking at that, we can work. You are duly licensed in the state of Texas, most likely here, right?
Yeah.
And so you can generate business all across the country.
Sure.
So on your Christmas card list, that's a great list to import into Zoho. If you have any kids that are in sports, every single roster, you can put those in and communicate with them, right? So I've spoke about all those different items.
We'll hopefully be able to have soon,
There's just different ways to go about it. The amount of people that you know is a lot more than you give yourself credit for. There's probably a list, and you can go to onboarding day 0, and that'll be in the wiki, and search onboarding, scroll down to day 0, and there'll be a whole thing on how do my different levels of sphere people that you can input. And it's going to describe like people you want to talk to on a weekly basis, a monthly, a quarterly basis, an annual basis, and how you input those people.
Yeah.
So going back to basics is definitely a great idea. And that's kind of how you generate it. There's tried and true methods. And just being a real person. You talk about shoes to generate business, and I talk about like nerdy things like finance or money.
It happened yesterday. Just talking about something, and
I got a new client yesterday.
Last night.
Inexpensive one.
And don't just think it's when you're out locally. I mean, that's a huge span to cover. But when you're on the phone, how annoying is it when you're on the phone with customer service somewhere and they're somewhere else in the country, right? Talk about it. Spark a conversation, and you will be surprised that they will either say, oh yeah, my mom just bought a house, or we just sold our house, something real estate related. We hear it all the time, right? We go out to dinner and we'll hear, and and maybe it's because we've been in the business for so long and we're just in tune to hear those words, but it seems like we always hear something real estate related.
So do you know where the gentleman I was speaking with last night? No, it came up that he liked what we were talking about, and we formed a bond because he mentioned the fact that he bought four-wheelers recently, and he wanted to know my personal opinion of the Honda Talon versus the Can-Am. And so he wanted to know that.
We would never have known
this. Like, what in the world? Like, that's like, and then when I answered him and talked to him, right, it was exactly opposite how he felt. But we were able to talk and engage, and like we formed a bond. And it was really weird to have that discussion versus what it was. And he's like, oh, this is why I did it, and I didn't know that, and like I wish, and like we talked about it and whatever. And then we kind of became bros. And so it's weird.
And they were texting all evening last night. I'm like,
yeah, he's like, I love your marketing. He's like, I love the website. I love what you did with that. And like, he's saying this. And anyways, so, but now he's like, yeah, I'll totally, yeah, right. So anyways.
And guess what? He has a home to sell.
Yeah. So
crazy.
There's different caveats to that. Sometimes we can engage, sometimes we can't engage. And at the end of the day, what you have to do is be true to who you are. And I was generating future business based on conversations and doing the right thing for people.
Yes.
And you happen to be talking about shoes and shopping and generating business. I always talk about how you can generate through doing things like, hey, did you know that landscaping is done like this, or your sprinkler system, or that home security system, or like, this home automation feature. And I try to bring those up because I think it's sometimes things that the traditional realtor doesn't know or discuss. And I'm trying to give you an alternate link.
We're not saying you have to be proficient in every single field.
I am.
But, except Mike, but know enough to say, hey, I know where to get you more information. We, know enough to be able to have the conversation. You don't have to know everything. Nobody likes a know-it-all.
No, but you want to take your greatest weakness and make it your greatest strength over a period of time. And I wish I knew more. I strive every day to learn more. I think you've seen how I've grown over time as what I do here at the brokerage. And I strive to be better at like our weakest thing.
We're always trying to learn and improve.
Yes.
Always.
I don't know if it's worked or not, but like,
I'm into podcasts now. I love when I get to drive somewhere in the car and listen to podcasts. It's cool.
Tons of engagement today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Tons of time, and we are over.
Okay, so Stacy. Okay.
Okay.
One more thing. Stacy said there wasn't a link for Show Me Your Listings.
That's in the